We're monitoring a dangerous situation developing in Washington state. At least 6 rivers are hitting major flood stage this morning. That is the most severe level of flooding, and the water is still rising. Officials have warned of catastrophic flooding, ordering evacuations for up to 100,000 people. Many of those evacuations are along the Skagit River's 100-year floodplain. That river is expected to rise at least 6 feet above its previous record. Already, swift water teams have been making rescues. One mother took this video inside her home. She told CNN that the water reached 3 feet high in her basement. And on the roads, high water, mud and debris, all blocking traffic and shutting down roads statewide. Washington State Patrol has urged drivers not to try to drive through the high water. They posted this message: you drive a car, not a boat. Let's get right to CDN meteorologist Allison Chinchar for the very latest on this situation, which seems to be getting worse at this point, Allison.
Yeah, and that's typically what happens with river flooding because it's more of a delayed effect. You can see the video here next to me. This kind of showing how they are trying to reinforce one of those flood walls that are there, the barrier that is meant to protect the communities around the river. Again, just trying to reinforce it and make sure it holds and does its job as those rivers are expected to rise around this community. But the real question is, okay, but how high are the rivers forecast to actually get in these areas? Well, we take a look at the Skagit River specifically because that is forecast to get up to record levels. The forecast crest 41 feet, more than 41 feet. You can kind of see that peaking right there on that map. The previous record level was 37 feet. So we're not just talking a little bit above, you're talking significantly above where even the previous record was met, and flood stage alone begins at just 28 feet. And that's when you start to see some problems where water intrusion starts to happen in some of the surrounding areas. It's not the only one though. It's one of several. All of these dots here indicating a river gauge that is set to be at either minor, moderate, or major flood stage over the next several days. And keep in mind, some of these are not forecast to crest for several more days because you have to wait for all of that runoff to come down from the rain to eventually flow back into a lot of these rivers, creeks, and streams. Now, it is still raining across much of this area, so that's going to add to it. So it's not just the runoff from the previous days, but we're also adding new rain on top of it for these areas. That's why you have the flood watches in effect around Seattle, Tacoma, and much of the Pacific Northwest, but also downstream. So you also have some of these in effect for portions of Idaho and Montana as that system continues to progress eastward. This is the atmospheric river that we've been talking about here. Again, that large plume of moisture that is just being funneled into the Pacific Northwest over and over and over again. So it's that constant stream of moisture back to back that's really leading to a lot of these issues, not just the flooding because of the rain itself, but again, that delayed effect. Here's a look at the forecast. Again, notice as we head into the next 48 to 72 hours, it starts to dry up, and that's exactly what these areas need.
But it is very much an ongoing, developing situation. Still nighttime there. When people wake up, I think they're going to need to take some action in some places. As I was reading, highways to Vancouver have been shut down this morning. A lot going on. Allison Chinchar, you're watching it all for us. Thank you very much.
People living in communities across Washington state are being told to leave their homes. 8 rivers and creeks are hitting their most severe flood level this morning. Rescuers waded through nearly, as you see here, waist deep water to get to several people and bring them to safety from an RV park near the city of Orting, which is about 20 miles southeast of Tacoma. And the rain not letting up. Another 1 to 3 inches is possible today, and showers could still linger into tomorrow. But what are they dealing with and how are they handling it? Joining us right now is the mayor of Orting, Washington, Mayor Joshua Penner. Mayor, thank you for being here. Just tell me what is happening and what has happened. How do you describe how hard the community's been hit so far?
Good morning. What's happened is 3 exceptional events in a row. We have this atmospheric river that's hitting the entire region. And normally we see one of these events maybe every 5 to 10 years. We've had 3 in the last 2 days. And so we're on our third hit of this atmospheric river. And each one of those is stressing our flood control projects, our flood control systems. We've done relatively well here in Orting. We've planned for this significantly and executed the emergency operations center that we'd set up. And it's a system-wide, region-wide challenge to respond to these sorts of things, but I think we're doing pretty well, all things considering.
I guess that's kind of the important poll, relative, all things considered. I mean, the way the governor had talked about it is this: when it comes to some records, they're not just going to be broken, they're going to just be shattered. I mean, what's your biggest focus right now? What do you think? What's your biggest area of concern?
Well, I think my biggest challenge is getting accurate, timely information and making decisions. As you know, we issued an evacuation order for part of our city. Doing that while kids are on their way to school or parents are on their way to work is real challenging. Being able to identify where the danger is, communicate, and effectively get folks out of any potential danger area requires coordination between different partners, and it requires people on the ground actually going door to door and connecting with our citizens.
And I was wondering how things are going with that regard. We've seen a lot of reports. We've seen of water rescues. I mean, have you heard any reports of injuries, like how people are managing? Because according to the forecast, it's still set to be coming.
Well, folks are scared right now, and there's good reason to be scared because these rivers. We do multiple swiftwater rescues a year that can be very dangerous. I think what people can do is they can pay attention to the channels where they communicate most, whether that's social media or news or phone tree. And we try to put out our information in every modality possible. We also work very closely with our swiftwater rescue teams through the county and the state. It's a dangerous situation. You don't want to get stuck in the river. It's not a slow moving river. It's a very fast moving river in this area. And we're between two rivers in our city. And so it covers a relatively large geographic region, and we're doing what we can to work with our partners to make sure that it's covered, such as that RV park, which is maybe 4 or 5 miles outside of downtown.
And as we know, when the rain stops, the river can still rise for a time. So you still have hours and likely days before you really are in the clear and can start maybe breathing a sigh of relief here, Mayor. But thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate your time. Good luck. We're going to be watching this very closely.